All right, guys. So we're gonna dissect the situation happening in the Middle East now. Things are escalating quite rapidly, and we are getting word that Donald Trump is flying back from his G7 meeting to essentially have an NSC meeting in the Situation Room to sign an executive order and be directly involved in the in defending Iran's spanking of Israel for the past 4 days, because they have been getting spanked left and right, guys. Mind you, a lot of people tend to forget Israel's a very small country, and Iran's about 25 times the size and can only withstand a certain amount of ballistic missiles with 2-ton warheads dropping on the city. A lot of shit's being censored too. We're not seeing a lot of the damage that has already occurred, but from what we've been hearing, it has been a ruthless spanking coming out of Iran after they decided to escalate by attacking certain figures in the IRGC, guys, which Iran responded very decisively and violently, right? So they're coming at him hard. And so everybody on Trump is now, he's being exposed for what he is, and he's succumbed to whatever his donors want him to do when it comes to foreign policy, right? So he's abandoning the MAGA crowd, which essentially really is ineffective, to be honest with you guys, with changing any type of foreign policy. Trump is succumbing to the elite financial class and the military-industrial complex bigwigs that are, that have put enough pressure on Trump to say, hey, you better go to war or this is going to turn ugly for you. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We do know there might be some type of blackmailing situation with Trump, because he was heavily involved with the Epstein situation. He met his wife on the pedophile plan with Epstein, right? So anyway, Trump drops a tweet targeting Tucker Carlson, because Tucker Carlson said, hey, we don't want this war. This could essentially end the American empire's dominance in the world. These people are crazy. It's a war between the financial elites and the military-industrial complex and the elites in Israel, and, we don't want anything to do with that. They're using America as bait. Please listen to your base, your MAGA. Trump's telling them to fuck off. So Trump says, somebody please explain to kooky Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And by nuclear weapon, guys, that's code word for, because Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon, right? But that's code word for Iran can't dominate the Middle East, because we need to dominate Iran in order for us to have any type of fighting chance with China. So that's what that code, you see how that works, guys? You got to break it down. So, the MAGA base is like, Trump's a moron. We voted for the wrong guy. This has been a disaster. As if, no one knew that Trump's a fat snake oil salesman who can't be trusted. But, he's sold to these idiots, right? Who were going hard in the paint for him, right? And I know, there was only 2 decisions, which both of them were bad, but it is what it is. So let me play this. There's a clip, interesting clip by Mike Flynn, where he, again neocon, where he makes the case for why the U.S. needs to intervene with Israel, right? Because there's this bigger looming threat, which is China, which is heavily allied with Iran, right? To the point where they get all their oil from Iran. They're a lot of different strategic. They're bordering Iran, right? Does China want a Ukraine bordering them, like Russia has, where the U.S. could come and install their bases? Fuck no.
China. That's what I want your audience to understand. So a couple of things. Israel is fighting their war, and we are, in fact, supporting it. And it's really protecting Western civilization from a psychotic regime that wanted nuclear weapons and was very, very close to having them. Number 2, we have to allow Israel to finish the job that when it does, as it is in the midst of finishing this job, and it's going to take a little bit, it will allow the United States to fully shift to focusing on China. The third thing is a positive, this is really important, a positive U.S. relationship with an Iranian regime. So whatever the regime is that rises up out of the ashes, if we have a positive relationship with that regime, that really benefits the United States of America, particularly against China, and it weakens China. Number 4, a victory by Israel. Okay, and I'm not talking about American troops and all this other stuff, but a victory by Israel. It really allows us the expansion. It allows like sort of the expansion of the Abraham Accords, right? This is a signature Trump policy, Steve. You're very familiar with that. Signature Trump policy. So it allows an expansion of that. Number 5, the defeat of Iran and stabilizing that region. Stabilizing, because Iran is the most destabilizing country in that region right now. Hamas, Houthis, Hezbollah, et cetera. They control all of Iraq right now, other than Kurdistan. So I want people to understand that. Just look at the statement that was put out by the Iraqi Prime Minister today. It's unbelievable. Number 6, establishing, or this victory, a victory by Israel, establishes the perception, if not the reality, of U.S. global dominance and certainly Israeli dominance in that region.
All right, man. So what a lot of these guys don't understand, guys, is they really have no say in what happens with Iran's regime change. When it comes down to it, guys, this is a battle between, like I was saying, the financial elitist of the West and their hold on economic global dominance, and they'll take America down with them too. They'll take fucking Israel down with them too, like it looks like is happening now. Why do you think everybody's allowed to all of a sudden speak badly about Israel, right? So they'll take everybody down with them as long as they get their way with maintaining their economic dominance, because China and these other players are, giving them a run for their money, right? So, and there's no stopping China's growth. And by the way, Putin and some of these other players too could get involved. Again, Putin, Trump's kind of letting him do what he wants in Europe on the pretext that he does not get involved in the Middle East. And so Putin's now raining down on Ukraine, and it's a dire situation in Ukraine. Ukraine is absolutely defenseless now, right? Trump has cut off all forms of essential aid. From what we're seeing, he's redirecting anti-drone defense missiles to the Middle East, and just a dire situation, man. So one more thing I want to get into here with Tucker Carlson making the argument like this war could be the end of the American empire as we know it, right? Because he's rational enough to understand that we're not ready to go into a World War III scenario. And this will be a World War III scenario. Like I was saying, do you think China's going to sit there while there's a regime change, a pro-Western regime change happening right on its border? A lot of you guys are geographically incompetent. A lot of people don't know that Iran borders China. You think China wants a fucking Ukraine on their border? Hell no. All right, let's get into this situation here. Let's get into this.
He's a deeply humane, kind person. And
yeah, Trump's a deeply humane, kind person. Yep.
Because I'm really afraid that my country's going to be further weakened by this. I think we're going to see the end of American empire, obviously. Other nations would like to see that, and this is a perfect way to scuttle the USS America on the shoals of Iran. But it's also going to end, I believe, Trump's presidency and effectively end it. And so that's why I'm saying this.
What do you mean by that? That's coming from you. That's
look, I knew Bush. I knew George W. Bush. We had, family connections to Bush. I knew Bush. Personally, I still see Bush sometimes. And, of course, he hates me, and he does because I criticized him on Iraq. And that war is the sum total, from a historical perspective, of his administration. But I knew him, and he had all kinds of plans for the things that he wanted to do. But once domestically, right, to improve the country.
Right.
And you may agree or disagree, but in his mind, he wasn't just about the invasion of Iraq in March of
Oh
2000.
no, he was going to redo Social Security. He had all
100%,
this,
100%.
all types of. He was going to take care of the entitlements issue.
And he really thought it was going to work.
Yep.
And you could laugh at that or whatever, but the point is, the second you get enmeshed in a real war, not a fake, let's go bomb the villagers and declare success, though we don't even have a good track record. Like, why are the Houthis still there?
No,
I mean, there's a whole other question,
right.
which is how prepared is the U.S. military for a real conflict? And the answer is totally unprepared. Scary unprepared. I don't think people understand that. But anyway, the only reason I'm saying any of this is because I really, really care.
Yeah, man. Again, these people don't care about the survival of whether it be the American Empire, the even the individuals in Israel. They don't care about their survival. This is all about maintaining dominance, right? And Iran's like a thorn. It's a thorn in their ass that's allowing them to not have access to what would be an even more drastic and severe war, which is the war between China and the U.S., right? So it's a thorn that's not allowing the serpents of the Israeli regime to snake their way into dominating the Middle East so that the U.S. could somehow have some type of chance in surviving a war between China and the U.S., right? Which is expected to happen before 2027 from several sources. So, yeah, that we could be looking at the fall of the America's dominance in the world.
I actually really love Trump.
Because this is going to add on to our national debt. It's going to raise, there's going to be severe poverty and decline of life more than what we're seeing now. And that's why we got to call this shit out, guys. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, man. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.